Fellow Viking football fans, and welcome to this edition of the Lamar Viking Billy Skinner Football Coaches Show. I'm Bill Frawley, and with me, as always, of course, is head Viking football coach and Lamar Athletic Director Billy Skinner. Coach, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Well, all right. Well, I'm glad to be here. I think I told you just a minute ago before we started recording. I'm at a travel center in Brock, Texas. Pulled off the road on my way to San Angelo this morning, so it's fun to see where everything's happened.
That's awesome. I'm telling you, we've got the most well-traveled show in the state of Texas.
How about that? That's for sure. You never know where we'll pop up. But coming off a tough loss against Mesquite High School, but there were some highlights, and I was taking some notes. It was good to be in the stands again.
Yep.
But before we do that, I want to back up for just a minute. Last week, you had invited me to go to the hydration. Now, is it hydration celebration, or what do you call it exactly?
Yeah, it's our hydration party.
Hydration party. Okay, I was trying to make it rhyme, but unnecessarily so. But man, Coach, I really thought, and I think I told you, and maybe one of the other two other coaches. Okay, I thought I'd walk into the room, people be sitting around drinking water and sports drinks and all that stuff. But it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I mean, music, and they were dancing around, and
it is. It's an opportunity for us to spend time together more than anything else. Now, we want to use the functionality of it where we can put water and Gatorade in our bodies and prepare ourselves so that we're not cramping on Friday nights. But it's one of my favorite things that we do because we just get to hang out with the kids. We're not talking about football. Normally, they come up with their own games. We have a water chugging contest, which I think you saw our little freshman, Braylon Williams. He took some down he took a 20-ounce bottle down in less than 4 seconds. I mean, it was incredible. But yeah, it's an opportunity for us to hang out, get to know one another, and just kind of relax and party. It's a party for us every week.
And I think equally as important as Braylon taking that down in 4 seconds, it stayed down also.
Hey, again, super impressed. And then just to show that it wasn't a fluke, he did it again about 4 minutes later. So yeah, the kid's a freakazoid.
Well, and I thought it was fun just that y'all had music going. They were dancing around. Like you said, they had some of their impromptu games. They're doing, I think it's called, I don't know if it's shadow boxing, shadow whatever, and they're, imitating if they're in a boxing or some kind of match, and they do all this stuff. And I've seen that before. That was a lot of fun to watch. And you had some trivia contests going. So you got some bottles of Gatorade in addition to the jugs, containers that were filled.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for bringing Gatorade to the hydration party. I know the kids really they appreciated it, the ones that won their Gatorade and knew some of the trivia, but thank you for adding to the party.
Well, you're welcome, and as much as we're plugging the donations of cases of sports drinks, I thought if I'm going to be there, I better come bearing gifts, so to speak. So,
well, it was greatly appreciated. I know those kids had their eyes on it.
No problem at all. Well, we can now go to let's start with sub-varsity.
Yep.
JV was at home, freshman was away. What can you tell us what y'all saw in those games?
We saw crazy competition all week long. With that JV group, they were ahead most of the game. It came down to a final drive, and Mesquite ended up winning that game against our JV Navy. But that was a team that beat us 50 to something. They 50-pieced us last year on the JV level. So the fact that our kids are right there on the cusp, right there, you see the improvement. You see guys like Coach Wig and Coach Onyegbule who they put so much pride into their JV units. They put so much pride into their side of the ball, and you're seeing that improvement every stinking week. So yes, a loss on the scoreboard for that group, but it was really, really neat to see them compete at an extremely high level and have an opportunity to win. The freshman group, they played over at Mesquite last week, and that's probably the best freshman group of kids that our freshmen have seen. And they ended up squeaking out a win 9-7. So I was really impressed with those kids' ability to get through adversity, because early in the season, that was a little something that we had struggled with that group. When you have a group that is as talented as they are, they're used to just going in and kind of rolling people. And so they had to play 4 very physical quarters of football. You have guys like Fats Gibson, who he probably ran for over 100 yards, and he probably had over 10 tackles as a linebacker. I mean, just giving everything he had, leaving it out on the field. Get kids like Justin Magruder, who just giving everything they got and not turning down an opportunity to face adversity head on. And so proud of that group for getting the win, and proud of that group for sticking together, more importantly. So it was a good Thursday night for Lamar Subvarsities, just because, one, yes, we got a couple of wins, but two, you saw teams who are improving drastically week by week.
Well, you mentioned 100+ yards, 10 tackles, whatever it was. That's incredible two-way starter, two-way player type thing. That's overcoming adversity and pulling together as a team, doing probably more than you typically would be asked to do.
No doubt. And he's one that, hey, do we need to get you a break? And it's, no, sir, no, I want to be on the field. So, and there's a lot of kids like that where they want to be on the field as much as possible. So they almost take it as an insult if we ask them to come off and catch a blow.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the varsity game. And I was glad to be able to make it over to Mesquite. That I think it was at the hydration party. I said, I'm going to try to get there, coach. And you said, well, that's a long drive. And that's when I said, well, I grew up in West Texas, and we went 3 hours for games. And then you said, well, then I'll see you there. And it's like, well, now I feel like I kind of have to be there now. I want challenge accepted. I went over anyway. I would have, but that was an exciting game, and it was close, and it was closer than the scoreboard indicated to me. And I was sending some notes through text to our broadcast and announcing team, because we didn't have our crew over there, so I was keeping them updated. But Mesquite scored on their opening drive, and then Lamar had an opening drive where they were stopped on a 4th and 2, I believe it was, at the 24-yard line. Mm-hmm. And so there was a couple of the times missed a field goal or drive stalled out. That shows that the game was really close. And what can you say about the drives that stall out, or those types of things, if anything?
Yeah, no, we've got to be better. I mean, I think one of the things we've seen this year is we're actually, when it comes to moving the ball between the 20s, we're doing a pretty good job. We're a very good offense between the 20s. But it's what you do once you get inside that 25-yard, that 20-yard range, that makes you a great offense. And I think that, each week we come up with what's called an almost clip. And there are so many almost moments during these games. And it shows that we're right there on the cusp. And once those things hit, I mean, watch out. And so it's easy, I think, for some to get discouraged. It's easy to get frustrated and those kind of things. But we've got to emphasize that red zone a little bit more offensively. I know this week on our bye week, we're going to have 3 days of pretty vigorous practices. And so in those 3 days, we're going to do a lot of red zone offense versus the defense good on good. And I think a big piece of improving is you go up against really good competition. And there are not a lot of better defenses than what we line up each week. So us having an opportunity to work in the red zone against them, we're not worried about game planning against anybody else. We're just worried out on the Vikes this week. So it's going to be a good opportunity for us to clean that area up and turn those almost into, hey, look, we just hit it. We just got it. And I think once we do, I think those floodgates will open. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, definitely so. And some of those almost moments, again, this is not mean to be critical on players or anyone, but there were a few passes that slipped through the receiver's hands. And those are some of those almost moments. And when that gets cleaned up, right, like you said, look out. But again, I want to also point out, there were some incredible catches. I remember, Gannon Carey threw to Trenton Yancey in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. He made a spectacular catch. And I mean, he was like making sure, if not just one, both feet, he was going pro style on some of those catches.
And I slowed it down on tape this morning, and it was a double toe tap, would have been good in the NFL catch. So it was
okay.
Impressive.
Good. We don't get to see a replay necessarily, not as zoomed in, but from the stands at the 50-yard line, it looked like that's what it was. And so, but I just want to point out there's some really great oh yeah moments, and there's more to come. It sounds
Oh yeah.
like for sure. Um, I guess one of the things that I was going to notice also is I believe Isabella Mickelson got in for kicking an extra point.
She did, yes. After we scored that last touchdown, we were able to get her in there, and I'm telling you, right down the middle. She understands the operation. She's a solid kicker. You know, I think that we're really lucky to have her. I know last year she had to step in for a game, and I mean didn't miss a beat. So we're very very lucky to have her on our side.
Well, that's cool, and there's a lot of support and acceptance of. I'm just going to point out a female on the football team,
Yep.
but she's not shunned. She's accepted. She's supported. She's part of that group.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because um, after our touchdown, so Trent Yancey, he gets a lot of attention on the field. He gets double covered, those kind of things. He was actually getting double covered on the touchdown that Jesse Little scored. And so after that play, he was just as excited about Jesse scoring that touchdown. And then when Isabella made that kick, I mean, he was one of the first ones. Oh yeah, Isabella! Like they get
Nice.
it. We've got a great group of kids here, and so that's awesome.
Well, another thing that I was noticing is there was a fourth down play. Mesquite was going for it. Braylon Williams had a powerful tackle on fourth down, and that stopped one of their drives. They got stalled out on a fourth
Yep.
and however far it was. I can't remember the yardage, but that was a solid tackle. And again, that's staying focused. That's doing what needs to be done at the moment.
He's one of those kids that one you look at him, yeah, and I think you got to see him during the hydration party when I pointed him out. You're like, goodness gracious, it's
Yes,
even. But he's one of those kids that I mean, if he gets an opportunity to meet somebody in the hole and chest to chest, there's a very good likelihood that he's going to get them going backwards. He's extremely strong, but fundamentally he's extremely sound when it comes to making those tackles and running his feet on contact. So it was awesome to see it show up on film.
definitely. So I want to go back real quickly to the touchdown you just mentioned when Isabella Mickelson kicked the extra point, but it was a touchdown pass to Little. It was 4th and 9
Yep.
at the Mesquite 16.
Yep.
What goes through your mind when you're determining, okay, do we go ahead and try to get 3 on the scoreboard, or do we just come out and let's drive it down their throats?
Yep. So I'm glad you brought that up. I called for field goal, and Johnny Carter, who's one of our tight ends and defensive linemen, as he's getting ready to run off the field, he looked at me and said, "Coach, go get a touchdown." Like he was like, "Go get it,
for real."
And I was like, "You know what, Johnny Carter? Let's freaking go." So I called the timeout, and we dialed that one up in the huddle and got the touchdown. And Johnny came up to me afterwards and he gave me a hug and he's like, "Hey, I told you, I called that one, Coach." I was like, "Hey, you got it."
So potential coaching career ahead for him.
Yes, that's
like.
right. That's right. Yep.
Well, and Coach, see, this is one of the things people have been coming up to me at games and other times and saying, "Love the coaches show. You and Coach Skinner do a great job." But this is your openness, and this is you, being willing to say, "You know what? I made a change of mind based on what one of the players said we could do, and that motivated you." So I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool. Um, hey, so another thing was the final score was 35-17, and
Yep.
It's a 2 touchdown difference. Well, 8, yeah, if you went for 2, maybe 3 score difference. But one of the things I want to point out, there's a few of the players that I communicate with. I've gotten to know them through football and baseball, text or talking to, and I sent some kind of affirming text messages. And what's cool is even after a tough loss, they were all replying back, "Yep, thank you, sir. Yeah, we've got this." And you know, one of the things I look at, Gannon Carey, not the biggest guy out there, but man, he gets knocked down pretty hard. He gets, fallen onto pretty hard. That guy gets up and goes right back at it.
Yeah. I'm there's his toughness is one of the most impressive things in the world to me because again, he plays the hardest position in the sport. He takes a beating from time to time, and the fact that he gets up and I look at him like, "Hey, dude, you want to take a minute? You want a break?" And he shake me off. No, let's go get that next play in. And just his mindset, it's his mindset of toughness leads our offense. I mean, our kids see that and they see him get hit and still want to be in there and still get up and still try to feed the ball to our guys. And so I'm glad you guys see it, because I love that kid, because he's so freaking mentally tough. He's so physically tough. It's a hard job, man. It's a really hard job. So I'm proud. I'm so freaking proud of that kid.
Well, definitely, and you should be, and I think we all are as fans, and I'm sure his family is, and the teammates. One of the other things I want to mention in that same vein is even down to the last drive, everything offensive, but defensive as well, the VFND spirit really showed. Yeah. One of the things that I sent to some of these players was, y'all didn't roll over whenever it was okay. It looks like it's done. I mean, every play was, hey, what are we going to do now? So it's kind of that win the day, win the play that you've been talking about at times.
No doubt. And the fact that they buy into it means so much, because it's a matter of time before this thing is up and really rolling like we know it's going to. And we completely believe in our philosophy here, the win the play. Just win this one stinking play and let's see what happens. And you do that over and over and over again. You start winning the close games, and then you start winning big. And so we believe that we will never move off of that spot. I'm glad our kids truly believe in it. And I know that it's one of those things that when you don't see the success on the scoreboard, it's hard. It's really hard, and it's easy to start wavering. But you got guys like Braylon Sneed, where he plays his heart out, and he's one of the first ones driving the culture after the game. Hey, good. We're going to learn from this. We're going to get better from it. So it's we believe in what we do here, and I love that our kids are big culture drivers for us and big ones who are speaking the language for us.
Well, now the next thing I want to do is kind of call out, shout out to the fans, okay? Because now 2 games in a row, I've been able to sit in the stands as opposed to the broadcast booth. And it is a different atmosphere. And I'm going to tell you, Coach, there is support for you in the program. I don't hear any booing. I don't hear any, what the heck? I don't hear any, why aren't we doing this? And, that just gives me another good feeling, Coach, that the fans, the parents, the relatives, and the people like me that don't have a player in the deal, but are fans, and you've got support, it just seems like, all the way around. You may or may not be able to sense that on the sideline, but I wanted to give you that observation from sitting in the midst of the fans.
Well, and I tell you, I do notice it, and I do appreciate it, because again, it's not easy. We're 1-3, and it's easy to be supportive whenever you're winning games and you're doing this, but I think that's a huge testament to our families. That's a huge testament to the people who surround our place, and they know that we want this for their kids. They know their kids want this. Everybody, we as coaches know that these kids want to go out there and be successful and do their absolute best every single rep. And so it's definitely a family environment. I love our community. I love our fan base. I love our families here, because they are our people, and that makes this the best job in the world, and when we notice it and we appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, well, you've already mentioned once. Now we're going to shift into kind of this week. It's an open bye week. We used to always call it open week when I was little. Now it's called a bye week or whatever, but it's the open bye week. And so you've already mentioned before, you're going to kind of go into the focus on red zone. I've also been watching the Sports U, posts by the coaches and stuff. And there's a big academic emphasis this week also.
That's right. Yep. We have there's a 3-prong focus this week, and number one, first and foremost, is going to be the academic piece. So the 6 weeks actually ends on Friday, and so we have an opportunity Monday through Thursday to get into our classrooms with our teachers and basically execute what we call our No Sweat Wednesday every day this week. And so I'm not looking for kids to be eligible. I think that we are past that as a program. Now it's about, hey, how can I get to the next letter? How can I get that 78 to an 80? How can I get that 88 to a 90? And so instead of pushing eligibility, we want to push academic excellence. We want our kids, especially this freshman group and these sophomores, we want to push for them to be able to have an opportunity to go play college ball. Well, how do you do that? You have to have at least a 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 GPA. Well, you take care of those core classes. You make sure you get that next letter. And so this is just an opportunity for us this week to really, really overemphasize academic excellence and getting into those classrooms and make sure that our kids are taking care of their business. I think because we are kind of holding it to a higher standard, the eligibility piece, I mean, our kids, they've shown they will step up to any kind of standard that we call to them. Hey, I don't think you guys can do blank. Okay, coach, watch. And they do blank. So I want to have more kids on our all academic list this 6 weeks than we've ever had before. And that's kids who have all A's or all A's and B's. So we want to give them an opportunity this week to execute that. So that's one of our focuses. Our second focus this week is just physical health. We want to make sure our bodies are good to go. So we're going to get in the training rooms. We're going to put our space boots on and get in the cold tub and just maintenance our bodies, make sure that we feel good. We'll get into the weight room and make sure that we're still moving heavy stuff around. And then our third focus is going to be fundamental football. We've got to be good at tackling, blocking, block destruction, ball security, and then we'll talk about red zone stuff. So we've got those three things that we want to take care of this week, and I think that it's a good week to do it.
It definitely is, and it's the bye week before district play starts. Is
That's
that
right.
luck of the draw? Are you able to finagle that somehow to get that open week before district starts?
Well, it's really, really luck. We're the only school right now in our district that doesn't share a stadium. So it makes the most sense then for us to get the first round bye in district, since all of the stadiums, the way they're working, this team's home, this team's away, this team's Thursday, this team's Friday. So we're just lucky because we don't share a stadium. It won't always be like this. But I'm also not going to apologize for it either.
Hey, carpe diem, take advantage of the situations when you can. Play it to your favor. So.
No doubt.
Okay. Well, I guess we should go ahead and plug the sports drink donation drive. It's always ongoing. So people still bring your cases. Yes.
Yes, please, please, please bring our sports drinks, and the kids really, really appreciate it. You'll see them with them after the games, and I don't know what makes them smile bigger, them getting a win or them getting a Gatorade, but one, I'm telling you, the Gatorade matters. So if you have an opportunity, please feel free to donate. If you want to bring a case up and come see me during the day, just come knock on the bottom of the Mac. I'll come down, high five you, and thank you very much.
Excellent. And which leads into the Booster Club. And I want to give is it a call up or a call out when it's a good thing? What do you call it?
It's a call out. It's a call. It's a shout out. We'll say it's a shout out.
Okay. I'm going to shout out to Nikki, who participates in the concession stands for the sub-varsity nights. A lot of the time I see her up there. She's always, big pushing on the Kool-Aid pickles. I saw her in the stands at the game Friday night over in Mesquite. And she, she said hi to me first, which is really kind of cool. We had a neat little conversation, but, she's just one of those examples of the Booster Club, giving everything they've got, doing everything they can to make this whole program successful.
Hey, she is an incredible part of our program. And I'll tell you what, she does a great job with concessions. And she also, there's not a time where she cannot make me smile with something funny that she says. She could be one of the funniest humans on the face of the earth, and anybody can get it. I mean, she doesn't care if you're her own son. She's going to tell you the truth, and it's really, really funny.
Excellent stuff. Well, what else do you want to say, encouraging people to participate in Booster Club activities?
So yes, please. We're always looking for people to sign up for our Booster Club and to join and be a part of helping out in any way that you can, whether it's concession stand on Thursday evenings, whether it's spirit wear. Our tunnel crew is up and jumping, and those guys do a great job. But we're always looking for ways to get people involved in the program because, and I say this every week, but these kids love to see their parents up here. And if, hey, you've only got one opportunity during the year, find a way to do that, because your kid, man, they light up and it matters so much to them.
Definitely so. And the last kind of Booster Club type thing I'll mention is Viking Fest happened last Wednesday evening. And from what I could tell, walking around, there was a lot of activity and a lot of people buying shirts and hats and stuff at the football booster club as well as the other sports.
Yes, no, it was awesome. And I've got to shout out Eris Jackson. She is one of our booster club presidents, and she set that booth up. And I'm telling you right now, we had an awesome setup. It looked fantastic. Like I was ready to spend all of my money there just because of how it was set up, how it was organized, and just how good it looked. So we are really, really lucky to have the people that we have in our program.
Well, it lured me into buying a shirt there too. So I'll have to say it was very successful and that kind of stuff. So, all right. Well, Coach, anything else to add before we close it off for this week?
I've got two things. I want to shout out a kid
Yes, sir.
that, man, you talk about what it is to live VFND, what it is to be a Viking. I've got to shout out a kid on our team. His name's Keegan Kelly. He started the season as a receiver. We needed some help in the secondary, and I mean it was a kind of a flawless transition. He's helped there. I've wanted more help on our special teams, and he's a kid that we've filled in on special teams, and he's a do-it-all kid for our program. He is what I want our program to be represented by. I mean, he doesn't complain. He doesn't get upset about roles and this, that, and the other. All he wants to do is he wants to be on the field and he wants to help his team. And he made some big time special teams plays this week. He recovered an onside kick. He's on that punt unit, and punt is probably the most important thing you can do in a football game because you have to do two things. You have to protect, and then you've got to get your butt down the field and you've got to go tackle a dude who's normally a really, really good athlete. And I mean, he's one of our best in protection. He's one of our best getting down the field and getting people on the ground. And as I watch this film, and you go and you look for highlights and you go and you look for things that you can draw from, and hey, we can grow from this. And Keegan Kelly, he's one that is high on my radar right now, and I'm excited to see him throughout this year because I talked to our defense coordinator and Coach Nahara was like, hey, he played well defensively too, and we're going to get him on the field more defensively. So it's one of the cool things about football is to see roles kind of develop as the year goes on, and it's not always what you think when the season starts. And this kid is just a prime example of show up, do your job well, and you'll find a role. And I think that a role has found Keegan, and I'm over the moon with how he's playing, but mainly how he's living the Viking standard.
Great shout out, Coach. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, you bet.
That was an awesome onside kick recovery.
Yes. Oh yeah. And the one before that. So we had to do it twice. And we were offside.
Exactly.
We actually recovered the one before that, and a kid was going to recover it, and Keegan came and gave him the business, and then the kid dropped the ball, and then our kid recovered it. So again, just a kid who wants to be a star in his role, whatever that means. It doesn't mean that he's a 5-star recruit, this, that, and the other. What it means is that if I'm running down on kickoff, I'm going to be the best one on this kickoff unit. Somebody try and come take that spot from me. So it's cool. It's really cool to see.
Takes a lot of focus, whether it's the onside kick or staying in your lane, covering the return, whatever it is. Definitely. So.
Yep.
All right. Coach, anything else to bring up?
Last one. We've got a huge volleyball match on Friday. We've got Arlington High here in North Arlington. And this is a big match for our girls. This is a big match for our program. So Friday night, 5:30 and 6:30, get over to North Arlington, get over to our gym, and let's see our girls compete against Arlington High. They need some juice, and so I want to make sure we're bringing the juice for our girls. What we settle on? The opening bump set spike. 5:30.
Opening serve.
That's right. Okay.
First serve. Coach Woodman was on the show last week, and
I know.
And I had to bail out going to the Friday night match last week. I had a family event come up, but as far as I know, this Friday I'll be there at the Viking Gymnasium to support Coach Woodman, and all of the players.
Can't wait. Yeah, we can't wait to watch him.
All right. Anything else, Coach?
That's all I've got. I think I'm scrambled right now.
It's all right. It's Monday. All right. Well, I'm about ready to get back on the road towards San Angelo. Thank you for making the time for this as always. People enjoy these a lot. So until next time, I'm Bill Frawley with head Viking football coach Billy Skinner saying VFND.
VFND.